Today we have Kevin Powell from Canada, and we'll talk about his story, his great YouTube channel. I think, above 200 of thousands. I don't know. I will ask him the exact number. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, and so I think we can start from the beginning. How did you become a developer? And then we will move on and we'll talk about content creation, which is my favorite topic, and the videos is my favorite topic inside content creation. So you are the perfect guest for me. Yeah. No.
Yeah, so I have probably a bit of a different backstory from most people in development, just that I had a really strange path to get to where I am now. I started making websites back in the late 90s in high school just for fun. It was just for like hobby stuff I was doing, but I never really saw it as something I'd ever want to do.
When React was not a thing.
It was, It was, I don't even know if CSS existed yet. Like, it was table-based layouts, and we were doing everything, we had the marquee element we could use.
Yeah, super simple. That was really, really great. Let's say that.
There was one thing to say with it, is the simplicity of it was really nice. Like, things. From there, I kept doing it as a hobby a little bit, but I never really took it seriously. It was just something every now and then. If I needed to make a website, I sort of knew how to do it. I ended up going to school in the sciences. I switched into film. I ended up getting a BA in urban planning, and I never used any of that stuff. And then I went back to school for graphic design. And while I was studying to be a designer, that's also where I started getting back into development a little bit, still more as a hobby, because the school I was going to was focused on print design. We had a few web classes, and that really sort of sparked an interest. At the time, it was just around when CSS3 was becoming a thing. So we could do nicer stuff and create nicer layouts finally. So I got more interested on the side for that. But I ended up getting a job as a print designer at a small firm. I was one of only a few designers. So I was getting a lot of work, doing a lot of one-on-one with clients, which was fantastic for me because I got to, a lot of really good experience, but my pay was really bad. Okay. And because of that, I started freelancing. But most of the freelance work I was doing was UI design. So I was doing, web design, but like in Photoshop at the time. So just making it. And because I'd been playing with making websites, I said, well, I know how to sort of make a website. So if I can charge people to design it, why can't I charge them also then to build it and make more money? And so I started doing that on the side. I got a little bit into WordPress development, mostly doing child themes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I was doing that for a few years, about 5 years, before I eventually became a teacher. The school that I'd gone to hired me or asked me if I wanted to, and I ended up going and started teaching for them. So as I started teaching on the side, I was still doing freelance work, but a little bit less and less as time went on, just because teaching takes a lot of your free time. But I happened to be teaching the web development classes. Mostly the curriculum had changed. It's still print focused, but they had a lot more on web. And since I had experience there, I ended up doing a lot of the web classes. And that's sort of what got me into the whole teaching thing, and sort of eventually led to content creation.
Yeah. And I think in my opinion, teaching can really help you so much. Both of my parents are teachers, so maybe I'm a little bit of teaching in my DNA, but I really can understand that. This is also why, for example, I can tell a little bit about me, that I started doing being a software engineer, but I really missed this teaching part. I've been a volleyball coach some years ago, so now I'm really missing this. And now that I'm back on content creation, I really like this. So maybe you can understand why you have been where have you now. Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, I do think that teaching also made me, I went from I could put a website together and make it work. And then once I started teaching it, I actually knew what I was doing after that. Like your understanding becomes so much deeper when you start teaching it. Yeah. Part of it's because you have to, because you need to explain why things are working. But just even you'd be explaining something to the students, and it clicked. Like, oh yeah, okay, I understand that now. It's so funny. I find how that happens.
I understand you perfectly. And also, you have got maybe so many questions, and maybe you just do things. For example, I started doing some live streams on Docker, which is a topic that I studied for 4 years. And and I was super confident about that. I started to create this one file, and on each line I had to explain line by line exactly what I was doing. So this is a totally different experience. Yeah, please go on. This is great. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. It's crazy how people asking you questions and just having to go through the like vocalizing everything you're doing really changes the game a little bit. And then from there, how I ended up getting into content creation was just because the classes I was teaching were really like introductory level, like HTML, CSS from scratch. We got a little bit into responsive design. We touched a little bit on JavaScript, but we never really got beyond that. And I would just teach it over and over and over again. And it was, after 2 years of doing that, I was getting a little bored. So I decided to start doing started my YouTube channel. It was really just a hobby. There was nothing else behind it. I don't know if you knew the channel Dev Tips with Travis Nielsen. He had that a long time ago. So I was a huge fan of his channel, and he'd stopped. And that was sort of like my one thing I was following a lot. And when he'd stopped, it sort of left a little void. So instead of I couldn't find another channel like his. So I just said, well, that's more focused on HTML, CSS side of things. So I started my own just so I could keep pushing myself with learning and making sure I'm staying up to date and pushing myself and all of that.
Yeah, and I don't know, but in the beginning, did you expect this kind of growth, or maybe you just doing this for yourself, maybe just to grow a little bit, just to show your knowledge?
Yeah, I had no ambition of it becoming what it's become. I'm still sort of amazed at where I'm at now, to be honest. I know, like, talking with other creators and seeing like there's some channels that have just exploded, and they started a year ago and they're already hitting almost 100,000. For me, it took me I think 6 months to get 100 subs, and and I was making a video every week. But I wasn't doing anything to promote it. I would just make my video, put it up there, and just keep going. It was effectively my hobby. Like, it was just something that keep me up to date. It was something I had fun doing, and so I kept doing it. And it probably took 2 years before I started realizing that maybe there was some potential behind the channel in terms of growth and in terms of other things. Because it's been a while now since I looked at the growth curve, and it's definitely been like exponential. But it took a long time before anybody was watching me at all.
Yeah, but I really like it. I really like you. What I've done, that you start really from basics, and also, as you say, 2 years explaining really super basic things, and then you moved on. So I think, in my opinion, I think also it's not just my opinion, but you have a really solid base. Yeah, this is what really can make the difference, because maybe when I always say that if you have a super solid base, and now that I'm understanding this, you can do whatever you want. You can check a lot of new things, the new fancy stuff. But in the end, I don't know why, but you always go back on the basics. In some ways, maybe you understand with the new framework, maybe it's using, I don't know, that special tag that you never knew that maybe could be useful in the future. I don't know if you agree with this. You always go back.
Yeah, and I think that understanding the absolute fundamentals unlocks, like, if you spend more time on the fundamentals, that when you get to learning new things, it's so easy, because it connects into, you're not trying to, you're not here and then you're missing all these other pieces. You have to start here and climb your way up to learn that one thing you want to learn. You already have all of that here. So you're adding these little pieces on, and having that fundamental is really important, I think.
Yeah. Someone says that fundamentals are fundamentals. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's really. Yeah, and I also think that by knowing the fundamentals, I really like this topic. You can maybe understand, maybe before others, okay, this will be successful, and maybe this will be not, because we already know that maybe they have found maybe a new. I don't have an example now. Maybe I don't know if you have one. Maybe you already know that. Oh, okay, they had this great idea, and you can understand this is a great idea, or maybe not, because they will have this problem maybe in the future. So I don't know if you have an example now, but this is what happens usually. So you really have. I'm not telling that you are old, but you have started some years ago, and you can maybe can understand the process also of growing. And so you look super young also. I don't know how old are you, but
I'm 36. I've been.
Well, I'm 37, so I'm almost the same age. Yeah, that's great. So thank you. I mean, really like this. For example, I didn't know this. Now I'm really happy to know this. Okay, so you were talking about the growth of your YouTube channel. So I'd like to arrive at the today. So please.
Yeah. So now, or actually, it was maybe 6 months ago, I decided to go full time with content creation now. So that was a big change for me.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, the timing of it worked out really well with the shutdown and everything around there. And also just like the school where I was working, like they're running. I could have been okay for this year, but with the hit on enrollment and everything, I was pretty low down on the seniority list. So I don't know how it would have been available later on anyway. I would have sort of been hanging on at the bottom, I think. So the timing of it worked out really well.
Okay.
And it was, yeah, it wasn't something I was really thinking about until a few months before we made the decision. My wife has sort of joked about it for a while, but I said, no, it's a nice little side hustle. It's fun. But then I started, more recently realizing that maybe this could be something. Yeah.
Definitely it is. Yeah, I think, I'm gonna publish one video today, and that person is talking about you, for example, as an example. She's Sulamita, the wife of Denis Ivy. She has mentioned you without even know that I was gonna interview you today. So yeah, this is also for her. Also, she's taking you an example of a lot. Maybe she feels, maybe, I don't know, a little bit bad that she's trying to do this something. But for example, I think that everyone can really contribute. In your case, you have very vast knowledge. So why not going for this? So I have just one question. Did you have this idea also before COVID or just after the lockdown? This idea of going for content creation?
Yeah, I'd started thinking about it just before everything. So I mean, it was, I guess for us, I'm trying to think when we went into lockdown, but it would have been a little bit before. The idea was sort of there, and then the timing of it just sort of worked out well.
Yeah. Yes. So basically, you got the answer. You got the answer in this. Yeah. For example, I have never been active on socials before 2020. I started on January. And after 2 months, this happened, and also and now I'm here talking with you on my YouTube channel. I don't know what happened. To be honest, I'm super happy about that because I really new to your channel. Yeah, now I'm also discovering that the people that are here are really super humble. We can share our knowledge. I'm really happy about this. I don't know what happened in this 2020, but here we are. So which are your plans for this year? Do you have something special, something in your mind?
I want to. Well, now that I've finally, it was kind of funny because with going full time, like, all right, I can sit down, I can focus on it, and then of course the kids were home, and I couldn't really focus on it because my kids were home full time, and I was just trying to get them to pay attention to Zoom calls, which is impossible because they're one's in kindergarten and one's in grade 3, so it was a disaster.
I don't know if they want to pop out in this interview, they can, because you're totally relaxed if you want, but okay, I can understand.
Luckily, they're back at school now, but I sort of had a window of like a month right before Christmas where I was by myself and I actually got to focus on things. I was getting into the groove of it, and then Christmas came, and then we had another lockdown. We had 2 extra, so it was like a month there. So then finally this week is my first week back, really. Okay. So I'm trying to get back into the swing, and this is like, I've technically been full-time for, I don't know, months now, at least 6 months now, but it's the first time I'm actually like feeling like this is something I'm doing now. So for this year, I really want to focus on the channel. I've only, for the entire time I've been running it, which is like 4.5 years, I've only been doing 1 video a week. So I want to increase that to 2 for most weeks, maybe 3 on some weeks. And then, that I see that as a very easily attainable, just because I was doing 1 video a week while working full time. So if this is my focus, two videos shouldn't be a problem. But I also want to focus more on course creation as well. So balancing it with that.
Yeah, and for example, I had a lot of people that they have created courses, or maybe they wrote some books, but they all agree that it takes so much time, maybe more than you think. So this is also why, for example, this year I'll focus more on just making YouTube videos, maybe getting a little bit better, and then I'll see, because I really want to first of all understand how this world works, and then I can try. So in my opinion, you are totally ready to do that. Maybe you need, as you said, maybe a window of time to dedicate to that. but that's it. So yeah, So how is this sensation just to work full time on the things that I think that you like a lot?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
far, so good. Yeah. It hasn't been a lot of time, but so far, so good. It's nice that I can sort of focus. The hardest part right now is just trying to come up with a schedule that I can follow.
yeah.
So I'm sort of trying to get used to that side of things at this stage, and just trying to, find a way to be as productive as possible, because it's really easy to get sidetracked.
Yeah, and also I mean this kind of interviews because maybe some things that maybe they know your channel, maybe they think that we are like bots, that we just create videos like this. We have a whole team behind us that they say, okay, read the script and you're done. It's not like that most of the time, so we need to work a lot. Sometimes we change our mind. I can't remember his name, but the library changed the way he was doing the video, so he had to do this again. While
Yeah.
there's we have some technical issues sometimes. But so I really think that this can also, for example, I also working on this because it's not that easy to create a strict schedule. And I think that sometimes we need a lot of time to think about the idea. I don't know if we had someone who says, okay, just do this. I don't know, maybe it would not be that funny, maybe in that case, but maybe it would be easier. But sometimes I don't know if this is possible because you want to create something and maybe you are working on something, then you have that new idea. So, for example, how do you handle this? Because, for example, I'm full of ideas. I have that keyboard on the wall. I don't know if you can see that. Sometimes I write my ideas over there. I really like this. For example, how can you keep track of all these kind of ideas that maybe I think you have?
Yeah, I started using Notion. I have two different boards. One of them is just like an idea list that I have, and then I move ideas from there onto like a actual schedule and like a publication schedule. That's been helping me keep track of it. So I know, especially now, before I never did bulk recording. So it would be like, I'd make one video a week and that was it. Whereas now I'm trying to do like, okay, I'm going to record 4 videos today. And then tomorrow, then I can start editing. And then, so everything's sort of flowing a little bit differently. So just keeping track of where do I have a script? What do I have recorded? What do I have edited? So Notion's helping me with that. The issue I have, and I've done this in the past too, even when I was doing it part-time, where I'd come up with this big, like I'd schedule out like 3 months of content. And I'm like, this is great. I'm excited about all these ideas. And then I'm looking at the ideas later when it's time to work on them, and I'm like, I don't really feel like doing that anymore. So
because basically we change idea constantly. We have this constant change idea. We switch priorities. Maybe we have some very good ideas. I don't know. Our house it sets on fire. We need to reschedule our priorities sometimes. And I think that with kids, you have sometimes something's popping like random. So, but that's it. But I always say that this is really a super long journey. You are really an example of this, super constant. Even maybe you had not rushed into YouTube, but you are going. You're doing the right path. Basically, you are sharing. You start really with basics, and for example. Can I ask you which is your favorite technology? Which is the technology that you like the most? I've seen something of your videos, but not all of them. I don't know how many.
I consider myself a CSS evangelist. So CSS really is my thing. And I think it's because I come from a design background. So obviously design and CSS are very strongly, they're very strongly linked together. So, and it's something that, I get a lot of people who also ask me to do some JavaScript content and are asking me about like, Vue or React and all of that. But I'm like, there's so many talented people already making content on that. And I don't, and CSS doesn't quite get the love that I think it should. A lot of people get frustrated with CSS. And I think a lot of the frustration that comes on CSS is what we were just talking about, whereas people don't know the fundamentals of it. And I think the reason that happens is you might be learning JavaScript, you're learning other technologies, and you look at CSS and it looks really easy because it's property value pairs and that's it. So, background red, hey, it worked. So this must be an easy language. So people don't realize that there is a lot of complicated technology behind it, especially when you get to layout. And then they don't realize that there's a lot of fundamentals. And a lot of the fundamentals aren't even really talked about a lot. Like there's formatting contexts and stacking context gets a bit, but like formatting context, containing blocks, ideas like that, that you say these words and people have no idea what you're talking about, even though they might have been writing CSS for years. And there's this sort of lack of people diving really deep in it, and it leads to a lot of frustration for sure, because sometimes it can seem a little bit strange.
Yeah, I think that you said this perfectly, because now, you're really on point, as you say. As a teacher, you really understand which is the problem maybe of the people that are watching, the students, because this is basically also this. I can also put maybe also myself in this group, let's say that. And so for example, what would you suggest? You can also suggest, of course, some of your videos, for example, to get started to learn CSS in the proper way. So can you talk about this?
Yeah, it's something that even looking at my own content, I think it's one of the problems with YouTube content in general is it's like, the videos are very scattered. Like I don't have a lot that are focused on one topic that stay together on that. Which is why I want to get more into courses, because I think it's better for that type of learning. I do think like if you I have a video on stacking context that could probably help people out if they run into issues with that, even though it's a little bit older. I do have a free course that's on making responsive layouts, and it's a drip course, so it's really small bits of information over 3 weeks. And I did that because as a teacher, I know that it's good. Just a lot of people like binge watching. They just watch everything and they don't actually do any of the work, or whatever it is when they're online. And I do the same thing.
Yeah, I always say that tutorials are not Netflix series. It's not the same. I see people eating popcorn, so like watching some videos. It doesn't help that much. It's better than nothing, but it doesn't help that much.
Yeah, exactly. So I broke it down on purpose, and the idea with that one really is to make it as simple as possible. So like the first week of the course is just looking at like, let's think in a responsive way. Let's see what the browser does by default. Let's just look and sort of figure out the very, very basics to make sure you're not making any fundamental mistakes. Then we learn enough about Flexbox to be able to get a layout to actually work, make sure it's responsive. And then we go into media queries after that and sort of bring everything together and practice as we're going through it. And I do think that that's sort of the best approach is whenever there's a problem, it's not looking at what's the problem now. It's like, what's causing that problem from happening? So, and I tried to do that with that course. So that,
for example, I really love this. I can really see that you have been a teacher for at least years, because you really need to make your student to have a taste of the problem. Because if you don't have a taste of the problem, you can say, okay, this is good, but you can't really understand why I am trying to saying this to you, because I'm trying to, maybe you can say something really simple. You can also, for example, you could start, for example, just explaining what Flexbox is. But if you don't make your students to understand which problem it solves, it doesn't get in their heads. But this is normal, because it's okay, these are just trying to explain something, and maybe they don't see that behind that you have years of people struggling with the basic things. So maybe you're saying this in a very super relaxed way, but this is so. I really like this idea that you try to first of all show the problem. Maybe in a small window of time, you maybe just say this, and maybe the lessons after you give the problem, the solution. I really like this. This is what, for example, I also would like to do for some topics, because I think this is the best way to learn something, that you test which is the problem, and then you give the solution, because then you understand why this exists in the world. So thank you so much. I think you will be kind of busy this year. What about your last video? I don't think that I have checked that, because we had this call, because usually I check that just before jumping in the call. I had no time this time. Sorry for that. So can you explain this? Which one has been your last video?
Yeah, I just put it up maybe half an hour before we started chatting. So,
wow.
It was looking at animations, but for outlines. So again, outlines are something in CSS that most people just do an outline none, because they don't like the default styling, and then they're done with it. So maybe it was 2 weeks ago, I had a video sort of exploring cool things you can do with outlines and comparing them to borders, just so people would understand the difference. And I mentioned that you can animate them, and a lot of people said, well, we want to see what you can do with the animation. So I looked at just sort of some fun effects you can do with outline animations and some of the issues that can come up with them too. But it was just a fun little, let's make something that looks fun. Yeah.
Great. In my opinion, animation are always good. Always to watch. Maybe, for example, sometimes, for example, I share, I don't know, some Docker compose, Docker files. It's a little, it's boring. I need to solve that. For animations, it's it's good to watch. So it's great in my opinion. So of course you should not just watch that, but also try by yourself if you want to learn. But that's great. So thank you for that. I'll check that just after this one. I'll go check that. Thank you, Kevin. Where can we find you, and which is your social experience? So, for example, in my opinion, it has been Twitter for a while. So I don't know, for example, which is your experience of Twitter, if you have.
So for sure. I mean, YouTube is where you can watch my stuff, but Twitter is probably the easiest place to interact with me. I've tried getting into other social networks, but I always just drop off. So Twitter is where I'm most active. And if people want, I also do have a Discord community that's linked in the description of all my videos. So I'm in there when I can. But there's, it's if people have questions or anything like that, it's full of just devs that are super helpful. So there's that too. And I try and drop in when I can. But if it's for interaction and stuff like that, Twitter is probably the easiest way.
Perfect. This is also what I did, for example. It worked. Maybe we can stay maybe all the day on Twitter, Answer 21. But I think this is a very good way. This is also usually what I do when I try to get someone here. And can I ask you, if you, for example, on Twitter, do you do something on specific on Twitter, or you just post some link of your videos?
I go back and forth depending on how busy I am, I guess. I try and share other resources through there, and because I think that it's, I think that's one of the best things about Twitter, and why I like it is just, it's sort of almost, if you're following people that are, that are smart, pretty much you get like almost a news feed of the stuff they're learning from. So whenever I come across something cool, I try and share it there, if I just stumble across it. Last year in January, I did like a tip of the day. So through all of January, I was sharing little sort of snippets, code snippets, and just little quick wins that people could get. So that was fun, but it was a lot more work than I thought it would be. So I only did it through January. My original plan was to do all of 2020, and but I made it through January, and I was pretty happy that I actually did the whole month there. But it's something that I might start again. Maybe instead of a tip of the day, I'll do a tip of the week or something once I start it back up. But I definitely, for me, it's about sharing cool resources I find and just sharing tips and tricks and stuff at the same time.
For example, I've been there because for example, I've done this with JavaScript. I've tried and done this with Docker. But I think that maybe also creating these kind of tips daily, if you really want to create some original content, is super hard in my opinion, because maybe even if you can be really super competent, you can know a lot of stuff. But maybe after I don't know, let's say after some days, maybe you don't have maybe that idea the day, or you have been busy. So it's really super hard if you want to create some original content every day on Twitter. I'll try to do that, but I think it's not only about what you know. It's also that you need to find time to also give that in the proper Twitter way.
Yes.
So for example, if you want to share the same content on LinkedIn, on Instagram, you need to change it all, that totally, how you expose that. We know that. Of course, but of course you have been so busy on the YouTube channel. I think that this is also maybe the best way to go. This is my opinion, of course, because I think you put a lot of effort in some of your videos. You can also, so people can just watch that, and that's it. So I don't know if it can work. Maybe tip of the week, it could work. Maybe you can try. Maybe I don't know.
I've tried taking snippets from videos and making like a little 30 seconds, almost like a preview of what the actual video would be, but just have it live on Twitter. But sometimes it's hard to find a 30-second snippet that actually shows something interesting enough or that's good enough.
Yeah, for example, I do this sometimes, not every time with interviews. So I watch this again another time, another hour to 40 minutes. I try to take some good 30 seconds and then make a preview and then the link of the videos. It's super hard, even if you have already the video prepared, because you need to watch this again, basically.
Yeah.
Even if maybe a little bit faster, but you need to do this again. So I don't know. Sometimes I just put the thumbnail and that's it. But maybe in the future, if I have some good ideas, I'll try that. But this could also be, for example, an idea to share to maybe people, so people can really understand this. And that's it. So I think that we are done, and I really suggest you to follow Kevin everywhere, because yes, even if this channel is still super small compared to yours, but I really would like have you maybe more people that maybe are watching maybe from the beginning, because I think maybe it's hard, as you said, learning CSS, maybe it's hard in the beginning, so you can really give help. And really best luck also with your course. This will be hard, but we are almost in lockdown, so we have plenty of time. So if we find that, maybe if you manage your kids, maybe it's done. Maybe we have higher chances to do that. But yeah, so, and also Twitter, if you want, is there. Come follow this amazing developer. Thank you also for sharing your story.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, would you like to leave maybe just usually I give a chance to leave a final message maybe to some people that are just getting started, for example, to CSS, or maybe with just HTML and CSS. What can we say to them?
I think the biggest thing is be patient. It's really easy to always want to be learning something new. And I don't think that's only if you're just starting. I think no matter where you're at, whenever you start learning stuff, you just want to keep learning. So you understand it enough that you're like, okay, I got that. And then you want to move on to the next thing and keep going, because it's fun to feel like you're learning, but you're not actually learning when you do that. You're just plowing through content, the whole Netflix binge watching thing. Even if you're taking your time a little bit, like make sure you're practicing what you're learning, put it into action, make sure you can do it without watching a tutorial. Even if you follow along, you understand every word that the teacher is saying or the instructor during a tutorial, make sure you can do it on your own. And then that starts giving you that repetition and the confidence, and you start being able to actually use it then.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying this. And I also say that also maybe against you, maybe you say just don't watch all the videos with that. It can be useful, but you need to really make your hands dirty, make a practice, make it yours also.
Yes.
Project for you. Yeah, we are still in this. Maybe because this is also the best thing that you can do if you want to have a solid foundation, solid knowledge on this. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thanks so much for having me. It was fun.
See you on Twitter. I'll come to your Discord channel if you send me the link. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.